No other company has had an impact on the internet like Google. Let's give you a quick example. You are watching our video on YouTube, and YouTube belongs to, that's right, Google. The majority of us use a GPS when traveling, most likely Google Maps. 1 in 5 people on the planet uses Gmail as their email address. Be it in an argument or just for interest's sake, nobody hauls out the trusted encyclopedias of the past. Just Google it is usually the go-to phrase. These are only a few examples of how the company has become a part of the day-to-day globalization. In this video, we will explore the early days of Google, focusing on the key moments and innovations that helped transform the company into the tech behemoth it is today. From its origins as a research project at Stanford University to its rapid expansion and introduction of game-changing products such as Gmail and Google Maps, Google has become an inescapable name and a dominant force in the technology industry. Where did it all begin? What major decisions and innovations led to Google's current success? How did Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the pioneers of Google, transform their idea into one of the most successful companies in history? Join us as we delve into the history of Google and discover the people, ideas, innovations, and this was that moment that has made it one of the most compelling companies in the world. Larry Page, a co-founder of Google, was born in East Lansing, Michigan, on March 26, 1973. Both of his parents were computer science professors at Michigan State University during his formative years. Page displayed an early interest in technology and computers, often experimenting with devices and coding his own projects. During an interview, Page recalled that his boyhood home was usually a mess, with computers, science, and technology magazines and popular science magazines all over the place, an atmosphere in which he thrived. Page was a voracious reader in his adolescence, as he noted in his 2013 Google Founders Letter. "I remember spending a huge amount of time poring over books and magazines." According to tech author Nicholas Carlson, Page's home environment and his parents' attentiveness fostered creativity and invention. Page graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering from the University of Michigan. Later, he earned his master's degree in computer science from Stanford University, where he met his future business associate, Sergey Brin. Sergey Brin was born in Moscow in 1973 to a Jewish household that emphasized the importance of education and intellectual pursuits. His parents, a mathematics professor and a scientist, fostered his early interest and passion for mathematics and computers. In 1979, when Brin was 6 years old, his family fled anti-Semitism in the Soviet Union by immigrating to the United States. Brin pursued a PhD in computer science at Stanford University after completing his undergraduate degree in computer science at the University of Maryland. At Stanford, Brin met Larry Page, a fellow computer science student who shared his passion for search engines and the internet. The two met by chance when Brin led an orientation course for students wanting to attend Stanford. According to some accounts, they disagreed about virtually everything during their first encounter, but after spending some time together, they became intellectual soulmates and close friends. Brin's focus was on developing data mining systems, while Page's was on expanding the concept of deducing the significance of a research paper from its citations in other papers. Page was captivated by the concept of extracting meaning from the Internet's accumulating collection of data. In pursuit of a topic for his dissertation, Page had considered investigating the mathematical properties of the World Wide Web and its link structure as a massive graph. Terry Winograd, his supervisor, encouraged him to pursue this concept, which Page later described as the best advice I ever got. Page, Scott Hassan, the lead programmer who wrote much of the code for the original Google search engine, and Brin set up an office in Page's Stanford dorm room to develop a new search technology, which they named BackRub. The key of the program was to utilize web users' ranking abilities by monitoring each website's backing links, or the number of other pages that link to it. The majority of search engines at the time simply returned a list of websites ranked by the frequency with which a search term appears on them. Brin and Page incorporated the number of links each website had into the search function, A website with thousands of links would logically be more valuable than one with only a few links, and the search engine would therefore rank the heavily linked site higher on a list of potential results. In addition, a link from an extremely popular website would be a more valuable vote than one from a less popular website. A little Easter egg for the conspiracy theorists out there is that Brin and Page were also members of a computer science research team at Stanford University that received funding from Massive Digital Data Systems, a program managed by large intelligence and military contractors for the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency. Page's web crawler, which is an internet program that systematically browses the World Wide Web and is typically operated by search engines for web indexing, started exploring the web in March of 1996, with Page's Stanford homepage serving as the only starting point. Brin and Page devised the PageRank algorithm to convert the backlink data collected for a specific web page into a measure of its importance. Page and Brin were convinced that the pages with the most connections from other highly relevant web pages must be the most relevant pages associated with the search. As a part of their studies, Page and Brin tested their hypothesis and set the groundwork for their search engine. In August 1996, the first iteration of Google was published on the Stanford website. It consumed roughly 50% of Stanford's total network bandwidth. The domain name Google.com was registered on September 15, 1997. The name Google is a derivative of Page's original intended name, Google, which is a mathematical term for the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. Midway through 1998, Brin and Page began to look for funding. And this brings us to This Was That Moment for Google. Andy Bechtolsheim, the co-founder of Sun Microsystems Incorporated, wrote Larry and Sergey a $100,000 check in August 1998, and Google Inc. was born. Google Inc. did not yet exist because the company had not yet been incorporated. During the 2 weeks it took to complete the necessary documentation, Page and Brin had nowhere to deposit the money. Incorporating Google to collect a $100,000 check was unquestionably that moment that drove Page and Brin to launch what would become the most innovative company of its time, or ever. They eventually raised approximately $1 million from investors, family, and friends, and set up shop in Menlo Park, California, in, yes, you guessed it, a garage. On September 4, 1998, Page and Brin incorporated Google in the garage of their friend Susan Wojcicki. Wojcicki had no idea that renting out her garage would one day make her one of the wealthiest women in the United States. In 1999, she was Google's first marketing manager, and she subsequently oversaw the company's online advertising business and original video service. After seeing the success of YouTube, she suggested that Google purchase it. The $1.65 billion transaction was approved in 2006. In 2014, she was appointed CEO of YouTube, a position she held until February 2023. 1 year after incorporation, the world was nearly robbed of a future Google. Brin and Page decided at the beginning of 1999 to sell Google to Excite. They approached Excite's chief executive officer, George Bell, with an offer to sell it for $1 million. He turned down the offer. One of Excite's venture capitalists, Vinod Khosla, persuaded the duo to accept $750,000, but Bell still refused. We wonder if George Bell and John Antioco, the CEO of Blockbuster, who turned down Netflix, will have lunch and reminisce over "This was that moment that we lost trillions." When Google received $25 million in venture capital funding in the middle of 1999, it was processing 500,000 queries per day. In 2000, Google became the client search engine for Yahoo, one of the most prominent websites on the internet. By 2004, when Yahoo stopped using Google's services, customers were conducting 200 million searches per day on Google. That expansion continued unabated. At the end of 2011, Google was processing around 3 billion search queries every single day. The company's name became so pervasive that it entered the dictionary as a verb. To Google became a common expression for internet searching. To accommodate this unprecedented volume of data, Google constructed 11 data centers around the globe, each containing hundreds of thousands of servers. Google likely has millions of interconnected devices connected to these servers. Google's extraordinary growth also caused some internal management issues. Investors felt that Brin and Page needed an experienced manager at the helm, and in 2001 they agreed to hire Eric Schmidt as chairman and chief executive officer. Page served as president of products and Brin as president of technology during Schmidt's tenure as CEO. The trio led the company as a triumvirate until 2011 when Page became CEO, Schmidt became executive chairman, and Brin became director of special projects. The initial public offering of the company in 2004 raised $1.66 billion and made Brin and Page instantaneous billionaires. In actuality, the IPO created 7 billionaires and 900 millionaires among the first stockholders. As with any multi-billion, or in Google's case, trillion-dollar company, there are bound to be problems and controversy. Google has been criticized for tax avoidance, misuse and manipulation of search results, its use of others' intellectual property, concerns that its gathering of data may violate people's privacy, and collaboration with the U.S. military on Google Earth to spy on users, censorship of search results and content, and the energy consumption of its servers, as well as traditional business issues such as monopoly, restraint of trade, antitrust, patent infringement, and monopolistic pricing. Since the 2000s, Google and its parent company Alphabet Inc. have been subject to antitrust scrutiny for alleged anti-competitive behavior in violation of competition law in a specific jurisdiction. Google's dominant position in the search engine and digital advertising markets has been the primary focus of this antitrust scrutiny. The company has also been accused of unlawfully restricting competition through its control of the Android operating system. Google's control of the Google Play Store and alleged self-preferencing at the expense of third-party developers have also attracted antitrust scrutiny. Moreover, Google's alleged discrimination against competitors' YouTube advertisements has been the subject of added antitrust litigation. Google Maps and the Google Automotive Services Suite have also recently become the subject of antitrust scrutiny. According to the most recent data, Google processes over 99,000 searches per second. This amounts to more than 8.5 billion searches per day. It is not surprising that Google is the world's most popular website, as Google is visited approximately 89.3 billion times every month. As of January 2022, Google held 91.9% of search engine market share. Google's services and products have transformed the ways in which we communicate, learn, and conduct business. Google's success can be attributed to its innovative culture, commitment to user experience, and ongoing efforts to stretch the technological envelope. However, the company also faces significant obstacles, such as concerns regarding data privacy, competition, and regulatory scrutiny. As Google continues to evolve and influence the future of technology, we can expect thrilling new developments and innovations that will continue to have a significant impact on our lives, and all because of a check written out to a company that didn't yet exist.